first note waited at the bottom step of my basement stairs. A perfect square of paper in the dust. Thick marker. All caps. 2 words. Help me. I froze with the laundry basket on my hip. The single bulb hummed above, casting its cone of yellow light on concrete. I'd lived here 3 months and never seen that note. It wasn't there yesterday. I told myself it was nothing. Maybe a contractor's joke, something left behind years ago. But the paper was too clean, too sharp, no dust on it, no folds. I tossed it in the trash by the water heater, finished the laundry, and tried to forget. That night, around midnight, I reached for the kitchen light. The sound came first. A whisper, dry, papery, like a single page turning. Then the glass on the counter gave a faint ring, as if touched. My hand hovered over the switch. I forced myself to turn it off. The whisper rose behind me, soft and close. When I snapped the light back on, a note leaned against the fruit bowl. Please answer. The doors were locked. The house was empty. The handwriting was the same. Heavy strokes, impatient. I searched every room, closet, attic, crawl space. Nothing. Just me and my pulse in my ears. At the basement door, I hesitated. That same cold metal smell rose from below, like damp coins. I carried the new note down with me, heart thudding. On the 5th step, I turned the light off. Whisper. This time it brushed against my ear, not distant, but near. And in the dark, something creaked, as if weight settled 1 step above me. I fumbled the switch back on. A new note waited on the landing. Don't leave. My throat tightened. I placed the notes together on the washer, edges aligned, as if neatness could make them harmless. I said aloud, very funny. The basement swallowed my voice. I wanted to test it. If darkness brings them, then darkness will answer. I tore a square from a notepad, wrote in block letters, Who are you? Where are you? I switched the light off. Whisper. A breath almost. A slow drag along the wall, like nails. When I turned the light back on, my note was gone. In its place, another square beneath you. I froze. I was in the basement. There was nothing beneath, except dirt and foundation. I stomped my foot once. Solid concrete. Cold. Beneath what? I whispered. No reply. That night I kept every light blazing. The house glowed like a hospital. Still, when I opened the fridge for water at 3 a.m., a note waited inside, balanced against the milk carton. You know where. My hands shook so bad I dropped the glass. It shattered on tile. The next morning I convinced myself I was tired, that I'd hallucinated. But in daylight the notes looked real, stacked like evidence. So I tried again. Another test. I wrote, "What do you want?" and left it on the 2nd step. Light off. The whisper was louder now, overlapping, like more than one voice pressed together. Light on. The note was gone. In its place. Stay with me. I pressed the paper flat against the rail, as though that could erase it. My stomach turned. I scribbled a reply in desperation. Why me? Dark. Silence. A single creak. 2 steps above. Light. You live here." The words seemed carved into the paper, ink pressed so deep it dented the surface. I backed away, hand gripping the rail. The basement door felt miles away. I left the notes stacked on the table that night, trapped beneath a glass. I locked the basement door. I taped the switch up, but sleep wouldn't come. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt the weight of concrete beneath me, like something weighted just below the floor. And when I finally drifted, I dreamed of walls lined with paper, thousands of squares whispering in the dark, folding around me, leaving no room to move. I woke with a start. My bedroom lamp had gone out. On my chest, resting neat and square, lay a note. "Don't try to leave." And in that moment, I realized, darkness is never empty. It just waits for you to notice. I avoided the basement for 2 nights. Lights on, doors locked, notes shoved into a shoebox. I told myself, if I stop feeding it, it'll starve. But silence has teeth. On the 3rd night, the kitchen light flickered once, twice, then cut out. I froze. The whisper rushed in immediately. Not one voice, but many. Overlapping, dry as rustling pages. When the bulb steadied, a square of paper leaned against the salt shaker. "Did you miss us?" "Not me." It said, "Us." I stuffed the note into the shoebox, taped the lid, shoved it under the couch. But the voices didn't care about tape. At midnight, a knock came from the basement door. 1, 2, 3 slow beats. I pressed my back against the wood, pulse thudding. A note slid through the crack at the bottom, pushed by unseen fingers. "You're above us." My throat locked. "Above who?" I whispered. The answer waited in the fridge an hour later, wedged between eggs, above all of us. I dropped the carton. Eggs shattered across tile. I didn't even clean it up. I just sat at the table, shaking. The next day at work, every sticky note looked like a threat. Every receipt felt heavier in my pocket. That night, I gave in. I wrote, "What are you?" and set it on the basement step. Light off. The whisper thickened into layers. So many voices pressing close, breathing against paper. Light on. The reply waited. "We were here first." I staggered back, bile rising. My pen trembled as I scrawled, "Where are you exactly?" Darkness swallowed me. The air grew heavy, like water pressing from all sides. Then, a drag along the cinder block wall, deliberate, slow. When I brought light back, a new square perched on the rail. Behind you, I spun. Nothing, just shelves and shadows. But something felt wrong. The bathroom mirror upstairs pulled at me, like a thought I couldn't push down. I went there, heart battering ribs. The mirror was bare. I leaned closer, and then I saw it, through the reflection only. A square of paper stuck to the wall behind me. I whirled around. Bare paint. Empty wall. Back to the mirror. The note was still there. Black letters burned into the reflection. I read it, lips trembling. We're already inside. My knees buckled. The bathroom light buzzed overhead, too bright, too loud. I slammed my fist against the wall. No note. Nothing real. Only in the glass. I stumbled from the bathroom, skin crawling, palms slick with sweat. I told myself I wouldn't touch another note. Not tonight. I kept my hands empty, fists clenched. But when I reached the hallway light, something was wrong. My fingers felt crowded. I looked down. A square of paper was already pinched between them, edges pressed deep into my skin as if I'd been holding it for hours. My stomach dropped. The message was short, written darker than the rest. "We like your hands." I dropped it as if it burned, but my palms still tingled, phantom letters etched into my flesh. That night I didn't sleep. I sat in the hallway with every lamp blazing and still felt eyes blinking behind my skin. And in that silence came the first lesson. Fear doesn't need proof. It only needs your attention. The next evening, I tried barricading the basement door with a chair. I thought I'd won, until I found a note under my pillow. "Chairs don't stop us." I threw it across the room, but another already waited on the nightstand. "We like your room." I laughed, broken, more like choking. By morning, the hallway was carpeted with paper. Dozens, maybe hundreds, overlapping squares like white scales. I stepped around them, careful not to touch. I read one anyway. "We like when you're afraid." I couldn't take it. I swept them into a trash bag, hauled it outside. But when I lifted the lid of the bin, the bag tore. Squares fluttered up like startled birds, clinging to my arms, my shirt, my face. Each one bore the same word. Stay, stay, stay. I ripped them off, stuffed them back in, slammed the lid. My skin crawled with phantom ink. That night, I wrote again. Desperate. What do you really want? I left it on the basement step. Darkness swallowed me whole. The voices answered in a rush, louder than before, overlapping like a tide. When I turned the light back, the reply was waiting, carved into the page so hard it nearly tore. To keep you. The second line was smaller, cramped, different. A different hand entirely, we all do. I staggered back, holding the note like it was alive. The voices hissed in the walls, in the pipes, in my own head. And in that moment, I understood another truth. The house didn't creak because it settled. It creaked because it breathed. I thought I could outlast them. 2 nights with every light burning. The basement door locked, the shoebox of notes hidden in the closet. I told myself I was free. Then I woke to paper crackling under my cheek. A note on the pillow. It doesn't matter if you sleep. We watch anyway. My scream tore the room, raw and broken. I hurled the note across the floor. But another waited beneath it. We're tired of hiding. That was when the knocking began. Not from the basement this time. From everywhere. The walls, the ceiling, the floor beneath my feet. Hollow, hungry knocks. Hundreds of them, echoing in rhythm. I pressed my palms to my ears, but the sound vibrated inside my skull, and beneath it all, the whisper swelled. No longer dry and faint, but a chorus, filling every gap in silence. Let us out. Let us in. I bolted from the house before dawn, duffel in hand, shoes half tied. My car fishtailed as I pulled out of the driveway. I didn't look back. Mom's porch light steadied me miles later, glowing warm against the night. She opened the door before I knocked, as if she'd been waiting. She asked nothing, just hugged me tight, the way she did when I was a child. The guest room was simple: lavender sheets, an old dresser, safety in every corner. I dropped my bag, sank onto the bed, and breathed for the first time in weeks. I almost believed I'd left it behind, until I opened the bag. On top of my clothes, a perfect white square "Thank you for bringing us." My chest iced over. I shoved the bag into the closet, slammed the door, but the whisper seeped through wood and air alike. What EWEWE, I told myself. It was in my head. That exhaustion had shredded my thoughts. But when I looked in the dresser mirror, my reflection held something I didn't. Notes. Dozens of them, plastered across the walls behind my reflection. Perfect squares with perfect words. I turned. Bare lavender paint. Nothing there. Back to the mirror. The notes still clung, ink bleeding through glass. One pressed against the reflection of my shoulder. Now you're ours. My knees gave. I crawled backward, eyes locked on glass. The whisper rose, overlapping, until it sounded like laughter. I yanked the sheet off the bed, threw it over the mirror, heart galloping. The fabric trembled, as if paper brushed against it from the inside. I begged then, to God, to anyone. But the voices only hushed and gathered. Patient. We don't need the house. We only need you. That was when I realized they hadn't been trapped in the basement. The basement had been their doorway. Now they were through. I pressed myself into the corner, duffel between my knees. I didn't want to open it, but I couldn't stop. Inside, every shirt, every sock, every scrap of fabric had a square of paper folded into it. Hundreds, thousands. They spilled out onto the carpet, arranging themselves in lines, neat and eager. Stay still. Don't fight. You look better quiet. I tore at them, ripped them apart. But as soon as I shredded one, two more appeared. Ink bled across fresh paper, as if the house itself was bleeding words. My mother knocked on the door then, gentle. You okay in there? I shoved the notes under the bed, chest heaving. I'm fine. My voice cracked, unconvincing. Silence. Her footsteps retreated. The whisper swelled again. Louder now, voices braided into one. She heard us too. On the carpet, one note rose above the others, ink still wet. She's one of us now. Another slid neatly over it, fresh black bleeding into the fibers. We all do. The notes quivered, paper edges rising as if breathing. The whisper thickened into laughter, filling every corner of the room. And in that instant, I understood. There was no mother's house, no safe place, no door to close. There never had been. You can move out of a house, but you can't move out of what lives in the dark with you. And the worst thought of all, the one that won't leave. Maybe the voice saying this isn't even mine.